Today's study medicine, and today's topic is transport protein in cell membrane. Okay, we are discussing a topic in general physiology. Transport proteins basically which are found in cell membrane. So if we take, there are most 4 types of proteins. The first one is called pores. The second one is channels. Then the third one is carrier proteins basically. And the fourth one is pumps. Okay, these are the 4 proteins basically present in our cell membrane. Now let's discuss one by one. Okay, now let's discuss about pores. Now, what are pores? Basically, pores are proteins which are always open. Okay, they are always open, and the best example are, most of us have heard about it, aquaporin is a best example of pores, which is basically responsible for the water movement. Okay, now then the next type of protein is channels. And in channels there are 2 types. Basically, channel, the basic property of channel is to carry out simple diffusion of water. Okay, simple diffusion of water. That is property of channels, and there are 2 types of channels. One is leaky channel. The other one is gated channel. Now if we talk about the leaky channel, the best example is sodium leaky channel. Means basically, suppose here's the cell, sodium. So here the concentration gradient is more in the outside compared to the inside of the cell. So based on concentration, the sodium goes inside, and the electro gradient, as the sodium number is more, the cation concentration, the positive charge, is also more in the outside, so it also moves in the cell. So basically the sodium is moving inside the cell all the time. So because of this, is called as leaky channel. Okay, it keeps on leaking, the sodium keeps on leaking inside the cell. That is the reason why it's being called as leaky channel. Now let's discuss about the second one, the gated channel. Okay, so gated channels. if we take the gated channels, there are certain examples of gated channels like voltage gated, okay. So the best example are the sodium channels in our nerve membrane, okay. These are the first type of gated channel. The second example type is ligand gated ion channels. The example is GABA. The other example is nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. Basically, and let's stick on with GABA, okay. Then there's a third type of gated channel named as cyclic nucleotide gate channel. Cyclic nucleotide gate channel, okay. Here the example are muscarinic acetyl receptor, okay. These are the things. Now there's the fourth one, time gated channel. Example are slow calcium channels in heart. Slow calcium channels in heart, okay. Now there are also, these were the gated channels examples, okay. Now let us discuss about carriers. Now let us discuss about carriers. Basically, carriers are the proteins which are involved in facilitated diffusion, okay. They are involved in facilitated diffusion, and most of the time those are unipote in nature. That means it moves in only one direction, okay. That is the meaning of unipote. And it also acts as a secondary active transport. The best example for this particular thing is that the transport of glucose. transport. So glucose is being transported to all the cells, via facilitated diffusion. Okay, now, and the protein here which is being used is GLUT. Okay, now there is an exception. In this particular case, the glucose is transported to all the cells except the GIT and the kidney. Except the GIT and kidney, the glucose is transported by facilitated diffusion in all the other cells. But in case of GIT and kidney, here secondary active transport happens. Secondary active transport happens, and just like here, the GLUT helps in facilitated diffusion of glucose into the cell. Here it's instead of GLUT, it is SGLT. Okay, so these are the things which we have to keep it in mind. So basically, in case of GIT on kidney, what happens is that blood vessels. Okay, so now the glucose enter from here by SGLT, by taking the help of SGLT, and then enters into the blood vessel with the help of GLUT. Okay, so just for explaining, it's not that much important, just keep it in this particular thing, keep it in mind. Okay, then the last thing, which is the pumps. Okay, pumps, the last carrier which we have to discuss. Pumps, which are also being called as ATPase. Okay, it's a carrier of primary active transport and here they bind and break down ATP molecule and utilize that ATP directly. In secondary, ATP is not utilized directly, but in primary active transport, ATP is being utilized directly. The example for this particular thing is sodium potassium pump. Okay, just keep it in mind. So these were the transport proteins in the cell membrane which we have discussed: pores, channels, carriers and pumps. So I hope you would have got a little bit idea of this particular topic. So thanks for listening. Thank you.